do it.
All right. So, is the hype real? Joel, you have read Mastering Human. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you feel about the project moving forward, making it an audiobook?
Well, um, it was it was a lot of information. It was it wasn't like overwhelmingly a lot, but I found that there was such a great section, like right at the beginning, probably the good first third of the book, where there was a lot of sessions with the Arcturians, I believe, and everything was put in such a way that was really leading up to, what the meat of the book was, and what it was all about. Um, when it got as far as my approach to doing this audiobook when it's time, which will be soon actually, um, there is a lot of emotion, like, and rightfully so, it's going to really challenge me in how I approach it, I
Mhm,
guess.
mhm,
Um, there's a section in there, especially when it talks about or when it talks about a certain situation with a centurion and Jesus. And I was just reading that again earlier, like reading it on paper, because when I did listen to this book, I listened to it through the voice, like a voice to text type of thing.
mhm.
Because I have a copy that I'll be doing an audiobook with, of course. And I didn't get the same feeling that I got when I actually went through that chapter again and just read it. And like I had to stop at a couple of points because like not only did I just sort of feel some of the emotions that the centurion was going through, I also remembered how it sounded when it came out of you actually when you were doing the channeling for it. And I was thinking, wow, this is like like it's a lot to sort of it's a lot for anyone to work through, especially, as I'm going to try to do it and remain composed, uh and just sort of get the message out in a clear and concise way, which is the opposite of what I'm doing right now, obviously. uh,
I sort of put you on the spot, saying I'm going to record this because I want to know if the
yeah,
hype is real, or whether this is just my experience, because I found it really profound, that book, and I'm not trying to like push words in your mouth.
no.
I want to hear if
Well,
there is anything that, I mean, I know that you've sort of said I would love more New Earth stuff, and
mhm,
of course, and there is more work coming, obviously. So love to hear these suggestions, because then because we've got flexibility to do more sessions. um,
absolutely.
so
I was gonna say, now keep in mind though, like I don't really come from a Christian background, like my parents weren't super religious. So for me to read over all the sections, in regard to Jesus and Mary Magdalene and whatnot, to me it was like I didn't have any internal conversational, oh, that's really interesting, but that's not what I thought happened. And you know what I mean? I went into it really open-minded. And for me, it made it sound like I didn't have that block that maybe some people might get when they will read this book, if that's a thing for them. So I found it very, very, very easy to read in that regard. Um, you know, the different conversations with Jesus where he was talking about, um, like one point where the idea was that people sort of ran with the person with a certain image of what they thought that he was, and they sort of had their own agenda and how they wanted to move forward with the idea of Christ and Christianity and whatnot. And it didn't and it seemed like he sort of wanted to say his own piece where it wasn't necessarily um like something that you wanted to form a religion out of. He was just a man, who had who was really well connected and spiritually, and in all the different little situations that were described in the book with how he lived, what he liked to do during the day. It was very, you really got to know him as the person that he was. and the personality that he has, which is really not very much different than our own. It's we
It's
don't really
almost,
think of that.
yeah, it was kind of like almost like he's human or was human. Um, and I guess
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
the best thing about exploring consciousnesses throughout time. I mean, even when been sort of re-exploring some of the sessions that we did with Nostradamus, and it's everyone who's lived on this earth, very human emotions, human situations.
Hmm.
Everyone's trying to figure out, is their career the best for them? Why do they not feel 100% fulfilled? Why do they feel like there is something else they're missing here on earth?
Hmm.
And they've got this thirst and drive for knowledge and wisdom. And it seems like that consistent thing with all of the influences that we've been blessed to connect in with all these sessions, um,
Hmm.
or is to try and question the heck out of them, like, well, what, while you were human, what was your fancy? What did you have super excitement about, and passion and drive? And when we find and discover people who have got amazing connections, insights, and perspectives to be able to help
Hmm.
support humanity. Like we had that conversation the other day about Tesla, and how he was merging and working with Leonardo, and his philosophies and principles and ideas with machines, and a whole lot of that sort of stuff. I mean, I think we
Hmm.
still need to explore that a bit more, because I feel like both of them are like jazz handsing, because it's quite obvious when we merge what they're all about, what they're trying to do to help humanity. And there have been some fantastic nuggets of amazing influences, but as we know, people like to sort of steal or copy ideas and keep them from humanity, and exploit humanity, and kind of like dangle, I have some information I'm not going to share with you, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
you've got that really great information, Tesla. Thanks. Let me take that away from humanity. Humanity can't handle that. And people are using their free
Hmm.
will to block information willy
Hmm.
nilly for their own greed, their own egos, and a whole lot of stuff. And I feel like, I just had this huge session with Sally today about this. Influencer came in wanting to give give me a piece of her mind, which is really interesting because ironically she was pissed off because she hasn't done enough of her own inner work, or even work in general, and so she was pretty pissed off with me about that. And it's kind of like, okay, well, sorry about it. What am I supposed to do about it? There's there's so much that goes on
Maybe you
behind
can maybe you can give them a copy of your book.
this. Yeah.
I don't know. That's funny.
Mm.
I just wanted to interrupt you for a second. Like, I think one of the main takeaways I get from this is that, now, bear in mind, I've been watching your videos, oh boy, for probably coming on a year and a half, 2 years now. So a lot of this stuff was very, um, familiar to me. So, um, I no, but not everyone, has watched 300 videos. So what I notice is that, like, the stuff that the stuff that stuck out in my mind when I did read these back was like, wow, like I totally remembered them because they were all very interesting when I heard them at the time. And it's layered in a way as the book progresses. It's like it sounds like you're hearing the same thing over again, but you're not. Like, you're sort of, it really goes into um just the detail of living life as an energetic spiritual person, and how you and what do you want to give to each other, and what would you like to get from them, spiritually, energetically speaking. And there's just a lot of it's something that you probably have to read even more than once, because there's a lot of like a lot of examples in there, and a lot of uh really higher level of thinking. I'm not really sure what the word is, but you know what I mean, like um stuff that might not be easily digestible on the first read. But I'm gonna go read this again before I even decide to put this down in recording, because um it's such an interesting read. But having said that, for the people who aren't familiar with the sessions and stuff like that, like, they're in for a really interesting treat. Um, it's not often you'll see something so like a compilation of things that has been so well curated. This is this is, well, not just your material, but everyone's material to look to look into. But unless they spend weeks and weeks going through all the videos, they won't be able to find the concentrated message of of learning your purpose on earth, as you'll find, as that's so really amazingly put into a book that, just like I said, it just flows from chapter to chapter, and then it ties
Mm.
in so well to the sorry, I'm just reading the covers here. um to the bulk of the book, and then how it ends. It sort of like takes you on a little bit of a journey, and it's yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say about that.
Mm. And well, they're saying, so Dolores came in and the collectives came in to talk about it as well, just as their sort of perspective. And they're sort of saying, don't rush it, don't rush sprint reading it, savor
Mhm,
it. And it sort of seems like, some people listen and absorb information through listening, some people absorb information through reading, and they sort of want us to try both. And even if, I mean, I'm not a big reader. I mean, I've read Dolores Cameron's books, I read all of my varsity books, I read what I was supposed to read, but I'm not going to pick up a book for entertainment, unless it's like an art book and it's, pretty pictures. I promise it's art. Does it sound like I've just got like a no, sorry. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. So yeah, it's so for me, I am not nervous, but I sort of realized that for me, this Mastering Human is very profound, personally, very, very, very profound. And
mhm,
I was sort of wondering for other people who are like really well versed in reading like dozens of books weekly, and they're absorbing all of this sort of metaphysical information, as well as empowerment and self-healing, self-loving, self-forgiveness, blah 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 blah. Like, I'm sort of wondering, how does that kind of match up? Because of course, when you have your own first experience with something, it is your favorite. I know lots of people that love their favorite channelers because they grew up, or they woke up with them, and so they've got this
mhm,
beautiful emotional connection. And I sort of know that I haven't really explored too many other stepping stones once I discovered Dolores's work. And obviously now we know that it's a life contract of what I do. So it's not kind of really a free will thing. I think if I tried to dismiss it, and I could have, if I had chosen to dismiss it and not step up, I'm sure it would have been given to somebody else, this responsibility. And that's fantastic, because it has to get done. And I know my life contract extended to be able to be more of service in this capacity, back in
mhm,
2019, 18. um,
mhm,
and so it kind of seems it's a beautiful journey, but I kind of I know the information is going to be found for the people who want to find it and who should find it and all that sort of stuff. I have trust and faith in that, but it was more kind of my curiosity to sort of see. I mean, I know you can tell me the truth. You know that you're not afraid to trigger me, and I want to hear the truth. So it's more kind of like, well, that I'm working on other projects now behind the scenes.
mhm,
It's always great to be able to have these dialogue conversations to sort of see, is there anything that you sort of feel you would need more explanations on, or more scope or concepts, or
mhm.
something. But anyway, sorry, mansplained the fuck out of that one. But
No, not at all.
yeah, I
It's funny
did.
you said when you talked. No, it's good to have those questions, I guess. Like you said, you weren't really doing the rounds of spiritual gurus or whatever, and honestly, neither was I. Like, I I did a quick transition, into Dolores Cannon's material, just like one or two little stepping stones. It was pretty quick for me, so I don't have that experience either, actually. You know, um, watching, series of other people who are they're almost more the brand name of the person than the message. Um, and I've looked them up, I've tried to look them up, and I've watched some of their videos, and it's almost it's almost I don't know what to say. It doesn't feel as authentic and humble as the material that are in the videos that are on your channel.
Mm.
It's
I think
it's
it's the bonus of having heaps of insecurities when I started doing this work, that I didn't want my consciousness anywhere near. When I was a client, I pushed myself way, 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 way away, because I did not want to be responsible for any of this information, because at the beginning this information was pretty scary for me. So I really wanted, it was hard enough to even like ask and challenge this, because I really didn't want the
Mhm,
answers to be what they kept talking about with other clients. I wanted that to be my clients' problems. Good luck with unpacking that. Good luck finding your inner peace and balance. Yeah.
well, that whole mindset that you had is what makes it even more authentic to me. It's not like, you start a channel and suddenly you have uh, subscribe for exclusive content that no one else gets if you pay $5 a month. Like I'll see that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh man, like it just instantly makes me feel okay, time to change the channel. Um,
Well, I want to sort of actually like apply the information I hear in sessions, and
mm,
with the blessing of supporting and listening to so many private sessions with clients. I not only expect my clients to apply what they channeled, I want to honor them too. And it's great information. Why not take that on board? Why not apply that like advanced perspective? It would be so stupid of me to be like, take it, leave it. It's like, when my client is channeling their own subconscious to give them the answers to like profoundly empower their lives moving forward, that's a privilege to hear that information, and I want to apply it all to respect not only my client and grow along with my clients, but also to respect the collectives. And I think they see that. And
mhm,
there was definitely growth. I was definitely scared. This is why it was funny when I sort of was made aware of a few kind of critics at the beginning, and they're like, she just hates her life. She just wants to get the hell out of here. She's escaping her reality. And it was like, oh my God, no. And I know that's totally, I love my life. I've got little kids. I've got so much fun stuff I want to do and explore. Like that
mhm,
was like ridiculous. But I was like, maybe I'm oblivious. Maybe I'm oblivious. Like maybe they know me better than myself. Maybe I'm completely clueless to who I am and why I'm getting all this crazy information. So I would actually write those all down as lists. And the next time I'd have a session with a
mhm,
practitioner, I'd be like, can you just ask, do I have this problem? Because, I might, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't, but, I don't want to use my
mhm,
Mr. Stupid to like assume anything. So I did do a lot of double checking with the subconsciouses. And it's nice when you channel them and you can feel their integrity, and, you can feel them saying, no, absolutely not. You're not creating
mhm,
this. You're not manipulating your clients to create nonsense. It's their subconsciouses, their information, because it's the collective's truth.
mhm.
So you're using your ego to think that this is all about you. So I was like, well, I mean,
Oh
not always
yeah.
about me, but
Yeah, like I said, not at all. And the fact that like you said, you've stayed away from um the status quo of what people think someone should be channeling, like, or what they think, like the new earth is and what it's not, and what the old earth is. Like you didn't set out to go against anyone else. You just set out to find your own truth, and you kept it's your own journey. It's like it's not like, oh, well, you're not doing it to be different. You're just being yourself. That is in itself being different, because everyone else kind of wants to play it safe in a lot of ways, and maybe kind of, whether they know it or not, sort of uh, cater to certain people's emotions, whether it's insecurities, fears. Like you can tell right away when something has like a bit of a tie, um, to like a something fear, even if they don't say anything scary, so to speak. Like it's you can, like I said, I can sense them right away in that type of material, and I never get that feeling with your videos, like never at all.
And this is what Sally and I were speaking about earlier today as well, is that when you are trying to be an influencer in the spiritual, in metaphysics and spiritual realms, um, how could you think you can bullshit? Like seriously, like how could you think that you could manipulate or fool or coerce or control spiritual people, intuitive people? I mean, it kind of boggles my mind to think that people who are dealing with this, like this isn't a book club, this isn't a wine tasting club, this is certainly not like a pickle ice cream connoisseur club, even though we all know what pickle ice cream is. And I actually had to Google what the
In
heck
the
is
book.
eating, like I had to Google what is eating garden worms, because I remembered them like when I was in a session as a client and they were trying to ascertain like the summary, give it like the perfect summary of a pity party, but because they don't really use our labels and they're trying to learn how to communicate with us to get it across to us at human level when they're super advanced beings. um,
Hmm.
I felt like they were scanning through my mind and my memories to try and figure out what would be a classic example statement piece of a pity party. And they worked through, like, I could feel like them going through my memories. And then it was like they could hear that song, going down the garden to eat worms. And so then they just started talking about being down in the garden eating worms, but they never really referenced that song. And I had forgotten this, and I can't remember. I was going through a session yesterday or whatever, and I was like, where is that from? Because I remembered them scanning through and picking that up from my childhood. And I was like, it's so strange. But my children don't sing that song. It's not, it's something, back in the 80s, kids used to sing that song religiously, just before Christmas or just after Christmas.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh. Joel, I just wanted to say this. Olive told me what she wants for Christmas, and I am absolutely FUCK'd. She wants an octopus.
A live octopus?
Yeah, why would you not?
I
First of
don't
all,
know. You can.
I got triggered because I was like, I can't watch my octopus. I've watched it once. It's too soon for me still to go back, even though I channeled the octopus and it was beautiful. But that was a raw emotional.
I missed that one.
Did you?
That's was it a while back?
Yeah, 2020, my octopus teacher. Holy heck, you have not lived.
No, I've seen my fair share of animal. Like that's funny because that's another topic I would love. Like I think we spoke before to see you uh talk about. There's so many different animal collectives that we just don't even think about. Like and once you and it's pretty amazing. Like I don't even want to get into detail, but so many different videos that you've covered over the past couple of years. Um and it's yeah, I mean, you probably have more to say on this than I do, but um like for example, last year there was something about the horse collectives that you
Mhm.
you did a couple sessions on that, and
Healing.
I didn't initially, yeah, I didn't initially think it would be something that I'd be interested in per se, but no, but I did actually. I listened to them both, and
And that's really what they originally they wanted me to not they wanted me to turn off the comments on the videos because they said too many people were not listening to the information. They were just scrolling through like and reading people's questions and comments. And it was kind of like, this is what I wanted to sort of say before is you can hear, but you may not necessarily absorb or apply the information. If you're reading it, it's more likely that you can absorb it and then be tempted to apply it because you're actually thinking about it.
mhm,
It's you when you think when you're doing the action of reading, then it's more easier access to absorb the information and apply it and comprehend it because you're thinking to read to be able to apply. Whereas when you're hearing, it's kind of a passive thing, and it's quite tempting that we will use our eyes, which is a profound sensory thing, to do something else. So anything else we're noticing while we're listening to the experience, fucking speed talk through the entire 30 minutes. They've talked about 100 different things, and it's like, God, to
mhm.
like unpack that 30 minutes,
If
that's,
only there was, if only there was a way to have a YouTube feature where you could not comment until you've literally watched the whole video, and
yeah.
then the comments open up.
Yeah.
because
Well,
admittedly, I do like reading comments
sure.
because it's not often we get to talk to other people, and it's like, oh, it's nice to be able to
Mm.
relate, if they are on the same wavelength as you are. But there's just so much bad that happens with that as well. It's like the trolls and
So, well, I
you know,
mean,
it's like,
pro lives matter too. They are desperately needing love because they can't love themselves because they're
yeah,
constantly
yeah.
insecure, threatened, and stressed about other people doing things that they want to do. And there was this, was it me talking to you? Oh no, it was a session where it was like this huge session we just had where it was like asking all our wish lists, and the collectives were granting them. It was like we'd won free will lottery, and we were trying to like get as much crammed in there while the collectives were open to us begging to support humanity in ways we haven't asked before, or that humanity wasn't ready for yet. So it's very exciting.
Mhm.
Stay tuned to see how that all unfolds. And it was about going to the root cause of problems where people felt insecure and disempowered because of their choices, because of the way that they felt. Instead of seeing
Mhm.
someone do something different and think, hey, I could do what they're doing, and I could also, grow this way, or be this way. It was instead of it inspiring and encouraging, an insecure person would see that as a threat, and then that became a reaction. And it was about, I can't remember the words, because I really feel like sometimes when I'm in these sessions, when I'm talking to the collectives, I'm also in kind of like a semi channeling state as well. So the questions I was asking from the collectives was, when people feel insecure about comparing themselves to others, can this empower them to be inspired to be able to um to also I can't
Mhm.
even speak right now, mansplained it to death. But yeah, I have to listen back to the words of it because they wanted me to keep repeating it in different ways to be able to make sure it was fully covered in all bases. I mean, I had to ask 3 times.
Mhm. That's I'd like to hear more about that.
Mm.
Actually.
Yeah.
Um, well, there's
Oh, so
nothing
just before
really
I
to
forget, sorry, because it
no
so
problem.
when there was titles in the videos, people would be like picking and choosing them, like, oh, I don't care about horses, blah. And so then they would not listen to it. But then the thing is that you're not listening to the energy, you're not feeling the energy, and you're not getting these perspectives that you actually kind of need to be able to open up our consciousnesses and our broad set mindsets to understand it's not just humans here. There's actually a lot of beings here who are high frequency vibrational. And so when we sort of feel like we have these, I mean, we've always got free will, but when there is no explanation on the video, we just have to accept. If you're wanting to grow, if you're wanting to accept these lessons, trust that if you're there thinking, do I, don't I, push play on this video, you're using your free will. If it's presented to you, here's a gift. Decline it, re-gift it, dismiss it, whatever, that's your free will. But our
Mhm.
collectives keep scanning people. Not only do they keep scanning people to see how they're evolving and processing and applying the information, but they're also seeing how people are choosing to distract themselves and a whole lot of stuff. They're not judging, but they're trying to see
Mhm.
how they can best support. And so when they're scanning who's listening, it's very interesting because they want to support specifically each individual person. And so, it's amazing how they can see from their perspective all that's going on. And I think a lot of people sort of forget that when you're not listening to these sessions, they're still supporting you and watching you. And when they know you're listening to a session, they kind of they try to cram in and give little like seeds of like encouragement or inspiration, or little shake ups, or kind of like, come on, kids, let's roll.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that makes me kind of understand now, like you said about like not using title names and whatnot. I mean, it will leave it up to us to go in and keep our ears open and
Mm.
our heart open to what the message may be without having any preconceived ideas. Oh, this is the video about this, or this is the video about that. And
Because as we know, it's layered, and when you listen back to it, you hear different stuff. This is why they're sort of
Yeah.
saying if you're going to binge read that book, go for it. But there is something about savoring the content, re-going over it, absorbing it, and seeing, are you still having epiphanies for growth? Are you still feeling like you haven't quite empowered yourself? This whole book is about full self-empowerment. There's no doubt about that. But as there sticking stones, when they say that, they love you, are you dismissing them
Hmm.
like cheesy grandparent love, or like sleazy love? Like, like, are we seriously able to accept it and be like, well, thank you guys, I love you too, hugs and kisses and jazz hands? How are we actually, honestly, are we dismissing it, shutting it down, or are we accepting? Fully accepting love is seems to be like nearly mission impossible for many.
Yeah, no, that's true. It is a ongoing journey for everyone, you know.
Mhm. Well,
I don't know if we'll ever
it's
reach the
choices, my
end.
friend. Yeah, it's choices. And so when we are we going to just keep fighting ourselves, or we're going to realize that we actually deserve love? Everyone deserves love. Everyone.
Hmm.
And all our life contracts really have this thing of, loving ourselves and loving others. Basic, basic.
Hmm.
So are we going to give ourselves a break and empower ourselves and find our inner peace and joy, or continue on as we are?
Well, we see how that's been going so far. So I'm more than willing to keep working on myself, and
Well,
that's
it's
half the battle is sticking to it, you know.
yeah. Well, it's easy when we don't fight it. We're going with love, not against love. And when we're sort of not wanting to love ourselves, we're still not in high frequency. We're still feeling like we are pieces of crap, and we're not accepting all the gifts that we're being like showered with abundantly. There's a big thing about when you're given something for free, we don't really value it. And we only value things that are expensive and we've got to like save for them, or, something when it's desirable, then we may put a
Mm.
value on it. But when it's just given to us, and this is when they've tried to sort of scare us and take things away. So for people who haven't really appreciated just breathing and having clear air, that's when they will start noticing the chemtrails. When people are not appreciating just peace and harmony energetically, that's when they will start being afraid of 5G. When people are afraid of it's sort of like when we're not appreciating certain things and they're wanting us to start revaluing it and respecting it. This is when they could be threatened to be taken away from us. And it's unfortunately we think we're very advanced, and yet we're very sort of really basic with our sort of high maintenance needs.
No, life can be like that. Life can definitely remind you of uh of what you hold dear and hold important, you know, and everything that's come at me, whether it's been, you know, health related because of everything, or just challenges with like with my daughter and myself. And this I always get reminded, it always makes me appreciate it when things are going well, as because
Mm,
I will get complacent. And it's not like these lessons are like brutally hard to work through, but you know, you just have to understand that the meaning behind it when it does happen. And um then once you sort of understand that, for some reason the universe kind of turns it around a bit, and it sort of, you can start going back towards where you wanted to with a new perspective. And just every day now I see this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not thinking about it in terms of, oh, I want to keep my density low and my vibration high. I'm thinking, no, you know, if I'm having a coworker and he's not having a great day and I can sense that, um, I will just naturally gravitate to them instead of stay away from them, for example, and in use my own uh emotions, I guess, or my ability to sort of like uh make them see the perspective that it's not really a big deal, but I don't actually say that. I will just sort of kind of, it almost throws them off when they don't expect you to react the way they want you to. And and more times than not, it's like it just works. It's not psychology, it's definitely something bigger than that. And then suddenly they're having a much better day than they were before, than they would normally have on a regular day. It's like it sort of puts that little bit of humanity back into them, by seeing other people who are just able to um like hold frequency, I guess you could say, is that. and and I used to be that person. I used to be that person who would, if I was having a bad day, oh boy, everyone would know, and I'd always find something to complain about. And then once I go through that phase and I'll see who I was in those people, it's like it's almost like I have that extra experience to sort of um gently steer them steer them back and sort of show them that, like it's okay, we're not gonna have everything we want every single day of our lives. And and there are things to be thankful for, such
Yeah.
as, being employed, for example. But yeah, that was a long way to say it, but it's just something I do naturally now. Like I said, I did in all those videos and the books and whatnot. It it stays with you even if you don't actually think it's staying with you. You'll never, just watching one video will sort of, it will change you in a small way, even if you don't sense it. Because I just, because I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago or even one
Mhm.
year ago, so I'm very thankful for that.
I think it's
Yeah.
it's such a great thing. I mean, we all kind of remember our old versions of self where we were like reactive and hurt and in pain and feeling really alone and confused and all of those, great things. Wasn't that fantastic? But not only can we celebrate that we are not choosing those, but we can easily identify with people who are still, and instead of judging them and ridiculing them and mocking them and laughing at them, we can be like, treat them as if we are finding our older versions of self. And what did we really
Mhm.
want? We wanted to be heard, we want to be understood, we want to be supported. We didn't want to be sort of like told what to do. We just wanted to be held emotionally,
Yeah.
without being patronizing, and just be supported, be seen, be felt.
Mhm.
And it's always really, I mean, sometimes seeing ourselves and others when we're going through our own journey, we can deeply identify, oh gosh, that was that phase, oh that was awful for me, and you can just be there. And the
Yeah.
hardest thing is, I found, though, is the seeing what they're going through, fully identifying, fully understanding it, rushing in with all the solutions, answers, thinking, oh, here's a fire, I'm going to help you put that out, here's all of the information, knowledge and wisdom, go for it. And they're like, I'm still on fire, I'm still process, I still haven't, I'm not ready for the answers, I'm not asking for the answers right now, I'm still trying to like burn down, I'm trying to have a meltdown, I'm trying to like find out what's inside me, why I've just gaslighted myself and half my family, like, um and so sometimes we want to help them so desperately, we're almost like trying to put water on them, and they are just about to light that match, just about to, like, burn everything down for that renewal. And sometimes we can helicopter the shit out of our friends because we don't want them to go down that slope that we know that we went down. Well, we had to grow, they can
Mhm.
grow, we can just be here and and allow them to share. What did you think? How did you feel? What do you think is going to go next? What's else is going to make you feel better?
Mhm. Totally.
It's delivery, but by
Yeah.
going and trying to save them and taking away their matches and giving them the answers and solutions, that's disempowering them. And I didn't get that for ages. I thought, oh, I'm empowering them with this wisdom, it's so fantastic. And it wasn't, because they hadn't gone through the full stages of everything. And so of course when they finally had started to heal and empower themselves to grow from that experience, that was when they could grab that information or that knowledge or wisdom or whatever and be able to apply it. But it needed to be on their terms. It needed to be like their own personal epiphanies that they realized this. And, no one wants to hear, I told you so, when, we've just suffered, excruciating pain for the last, few months. So, it's still lots
Mhm.
of fun stuff. But when we have our inner peace and balance and we just trust all is well, and our friends and people that we see, co-workers, when they can feel our genuine love without judgment, without a
Mhm.
frustration of come on, burn, break down, mount down, grow, like, like we can be happy cheerleaders from the
Yeah.
sides. Sometimes I have to say, I still get triggered triggering people. It's like I should be like a master at being confident at this now. And yet still I find myself feeling very triggered triggering people. Because I
Mhm.
can feel all of their emotions. I can feel their whole journey. And this is when I sort of need to take a step back and think, okay, I'm triggered. How do I get myself out of this? And kind of take myself away from that situation, find out my solution. That's right, everything's purposeful, it's all significant. This is when the last time I felt this way. This is how I can empower myself back to strength of love and appreciation, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like having to just think and process while still realizing that we're here to support everyone, including ourselves and our sanity.
Yep. I was just thinking about a session you had it last year, and you were talking with someone, and you're sort of like doing a almost like an exercise where she had a sister who was very, had a lot of fear, and she was scared about getting sick and what she was going to go through. And this is sort of like exactly what you guys talked about. Like you sort of played the role of her sister, then she played the role of her sister, and you played her, and just the way to approach helping someone, or not just helping, but being there for them and allowing themselves to be helped, them opening themselves. Like we're all inherently good people. We all want to help each other, but there's, like you said, there's so many ways to do it that are just like forceful, like you say, you're disempowering them, and just being able to change and allow yourself to sort of become that more uh more peaceful, calm kind of person.
It's
It
liberating to
really,
know, yeah, it's liberating to know that we don't need to know all the answers for them, but we need to
yeah,
listen to them. And our job is, hey, I'm listening, I'm here, tell me more. What else do you feel about that? Like we were really trying to coax out and squeeze that emotional pimple that's within them and allow them to
yeah,
vent, allow them to be angry, allow them to be a hot mess, and just love them through that, and allow them to just feel supported while we are like,
yeah.
yeah, good luck with that one. But you can find your answers, you can find your feelings, you can find your stepping stones moving forward, because it's not our responsibility to do their inner work. That's their inner work. That's them having to
Mhm.
identify what they're feeling. That's them having to identify how they can empower themselves through that, what their lessons are. And we just listen. And isn't that
Mhm.
liberating to know that doesn't matter the answers for these solutions? They're not even no one really is asking us for the solutions, are they? That they are just wanting to
No.
share, 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 share. And when we can just listen, easy listening, and then
Mhm.
the worst thing you could say to them at the end is, I just love you. I know that all is going to be better. And you've got this. You're intelligent, you're clever, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Say all the things you actually truly mean, so
Yeah.
they feel heard, loved, safe, secure, that they can trust you with anything. That's key. That's a beautiful relationship, friendship, when you can be open and honest about everything. And when we're talking
Yeah.
about our feelings, oh my gosh, so private.
And it feels really good too. I'm not gonna lie. Like to to be that kind of help to someone, to be that kind of support, I should say. And and it's an amazing feeling, like I used to be that fixer kind of person as well. I'd be like, this is why you are wrong. This is what you have to do to fix it. And like I
Emotions.
meant well, but yeah, and it
And,
just
and,
was
and
not
like we need
good.
to celebrate all emotions, right? Like we're here for it. And there
Yes.
is no good or bad emotions. It's just different
Yeah.
frequency levels, right? And
Yeah.
we're wanting to empower people. to realize that they are choosing these feelings, regardless of these situations. It's all choices. We can see things as, wow, I didn't need that house. Yeah, fantastic. I wanted to move in. Like, are we going to see the positives in this, or are we just going to be like, um, when you're sort of saying when there's good things happening, like celebrate it. I used to be the sort of person that was like, oh, some good things are happening, it's going to turn into a shit show now. Like I don't deserve anything good happening. Like if everything's going well, be careful because it's about to like blow up in my face. Like because
Yeah.
I would just see these moments in my life where it just felt like everything was so fantastic. It's almost like end of year school, like with certain learning of experiences and growth, and you kind of get to that celebration of graduation, like, hey, I just overcame insecurity, jazz hands in and joy, and you're sort of thinking, well, sweet, like I've got that over and done with. And then the subconscious is like, oh, she's wanting a new lesson, make it harder. She enjoyed that one so much. And so then they like, they give us all these great experiences. And so it kind of feels
Yeah.
like that, doesn't it? It feels like, whew, finally finished that second book. And then they're like, oh, look at
Yeah,
here.
totally. It's easy, but it's also easy on the other hand to sort of like cast that pessimism onto yourself. Like if I'm having a great day, I do it as well. I'm like, okay, now something bad's gonna happen. And now because I said that and I thought it out loud, it happens more often than not because I almost sort of believe it would happen, and then it
Yeah.
does happen, and I'm like, "Oh, I knew it was gonna happen." Like, I don't wanna get into that negative loop whenever I
Mm,
feel like something right's going my way, but I
mm,
don't wanna be blissfully, blissfully unaware of it either, but there's a nice balance to be able to be thankful for when things are going right, and with no expectations of the next day and the next day.
yeah.
But don't cut that self-talk out. Well, okay, well, what's gonna happen now? Like, something bad's gonna happen. Um, and
That
if we start
beautiful,
living our life more like that, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. That beautiful, I'm in balance, everything's good. And hey, if it all goes to effing custard tomorrow, it's going to be okay. Because I know the skill sets of I'm loved, I'm always protected. If everything goes to custard, I've got my collectives that I could ask, what the heck? What is this lesson for? What is this purpose? Because we know everything's
Mhm.
significant, everything's purposeful. We can trust that whatever comes our way, it's not going to break us. It's not going to break our souls. It's going to be more like,
Yep.
and then Earth tried to do this to me. And I was like, oh no, you didn't. Like, we're going to be just able to master the crap out of it and be like, I don't know, MC hammering our whole like Dougie dance and just being like, oh, that was cute that you thought that. Because I feel like, I think you were talking about this the other day. You feeling like you guys kind of getting tested again to sort of see, like, oh, has he really empowered himself with this lesson? We'll just see. We'll just poke around and see if he's going to have old habits and old reactions.
If only everyone had that mindset you're just talking about, to be able to like be optimistic and just optimistic about your ability to handle whatever may come at you.
Okay, well,
Not cocky or overconfident, but
no,
you
but the
know,
fact
we've
is, the
learned.
fact is, we have survived. We've survived everything. We've survived Earth to this moment right now, and we're okay with it, right? Like we've learned lessons, we've had
Yep,
experiences, we've had way too much ice cream. Like all is well for us, and we can trust that this will continue on. It's
for
been,
sure.
we've done the density, we've done the depression, we've done the feeling lost and not understanding why we're here. Well, we know why we're here now. We do.
Mm,
We know so much. And while there's still this, do I trust this? Do I have faith in this? Blah, 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 blah. You know,
mm,
it's that balance within whatever feels fine for you. Um,
for
you know,
sure.
but I mean, I guess I have the super luxury of just listening to so many clients who are like, I just can't, I don't care about you woo-woo stuff about the new earth, Joe. That just sounds extraordinary. I'm just wanting to figure out my relationship with my husband or my kids or a rash or blah, 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 blah. This is the big thing I need to know. Everything else is bullshit. And I'm like, cool, yeah, I understand that. And then the subconscious is like, yeah, so this for the husband, this for the kids, that for the rash. And by the way, you are kind of needed on the new earth. So, could you just be prepared and like all this sort of stuff, like, you know, it's fine. It's fine. When we channel and we have these sessions and get the information, it's fine because they know we can handle it. And, if we try to distract ourselves, that's also fine. Whatever gives us balance. And if we are too, if the new earth and the shift freaks you out, totally fine. Like, I've been there. I fully understand. It's really valid. I think you'd be kind of almost a bit interesting if you fully jumped into that and be like, sweet, that's fine by me. Like, and there's a journey to get to that level of acceptance. That's for sure. From my experience, anyway, there's special unicorns out there that are born fantastic. So yeah, it's all, and that's all cool. Like, we can't judge ourselves anymore because it's just wasting our time. We could be doing other fantastic things to empower ourselves and others.
I agree completely. I wouldn't think I'm a special unicorn, though. I will say that when I did find the material and I was hearing all these things, about all the different events and whatever, for some reason I was like, okay, all right, now at least I know, whether it's going to happen or not, when, if at all. Like I at least if something does happen, I'll be like, oh, okay, I remember that happening. I remember someone talking about that. I feel like hopefully I would be more prepared,
Mm,
no matter what happens,
yeah.
whether something big or something more local to where I live, for example. Yeah, but some people, I guess it's a journey as well. Like well, some people are just scared, because it's so triggering. But
Well, some people want the absolute details of everything, of
yeah,
everyone, of every location before they can feel okay at peace and ease because they need all the
yeah,
details. And that's very hard. Ultimately, we're not going to know all details of anything while we're here in
yeah.
3D. That's sorry, spoiler alert, but when we
Mhm,
can be accepting of just what we do know. And they sort of said, for some clients that they know are super hyper fixated on details, and it would just, that it would distract them heavily with fear and worry and curiosity and trying to understand it from this perspective with the monkey mind. um, they sort of said, be prepared for everything and anything at any time. And so
mhm,
that I was like, well, don't you think that's going to overwhelm them? And they're like, yeah, they need to just accept you can't know everything. You can't, um, you just have to be prepared to be in balance and trust and faith and know that everything is significant and purposeful for everyone, not just, for our own perception of what's going on now. And so it kind of
mhm.
feels like instead of giving them the small details of everything, it's kind of like the bigger information of, I'll just be prepared for everything. Be prepared for everything. And then that kind of like overwhelms them to realize, oh, my mind's going so, I've prepared 1,000 different situations, and that overwhelms them. So then they just go, okay, fine, you win. I'll just be in peace and harmony and balance.
Yeah, I spent so much time focusing on my day-to-day activities that I don't have time to worry about the future, to be honest. Uh, I'm
Yeah.
okay just getting through the day, and tomorrow I get to do it again. And
Perfect.
what
Yeah.
whatever happens, I probably won't see it coming, just put it that way.
Mm,
But I'm happy. I'm happy every day, knowing that I did everything I needed to do. I was the person that I wanted to be, and the parent I wanted to be, and that is more than enough to think about,
perfect.
than to
Yeah,
sort of worry about things that are completely out of our control, because that's life for you.
totally. Yeah.
It's not necessary. Yeah.
Just reminds me of this conversation I was seeing where, these mothers were sort of confessing that they were not finding themselves being in joy being a parent. They found that, it's just monotonous, and they were just working, and they go home and the children are, reactive and not giving them joy. And they just feel like the dishwashers and cooks and blah, 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 blah. And that's miserable. And I'm sort of thinking, I don't know why I'm sharing this. So obviously someone needs to hear this. Your children absorb your emotions. So if we're like stressed and frazzled and we feel like, oh, I don't deserve to be your cook, and I don't deserve to be your cleaner, and I don't deserve to be blah, 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 blah. Like as soon as we have that kind of attitude, our child is realizing that we're resentful towards them and angry. And, regardless of how old that child is, that child's reading you like the front not line news. um, and so of
Mhm.
course your child's going to react and feel a whole lot of upset, and it just, it spirals out. And I sort of thought, okay, if I was going to like jump into that conversation, what would I say without triggering them? And it's kind of like, again, it's about self empowering. Do you expect your 3-year-old to be gratitude and grateful and see how much you're sacrificing to be their parent? Probably not. What about you loving yourself, giving you some time out, honoring yourself, and not expecting your child to be like, you're the best mother in the world. Thank you so much for making me 27 dinners that I threw around the house. And, like, blah, 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 blah. What are our
Yeah.
expectations, and again, it's all about self-empowering. We have to love ourselves and honor ourselves, and when we're resentful of doing anything for anyone, we're not empowering them, we're not empowering ourselves. So it's attitudes, it's perspectives,
Hmm.
it's
I
it,
I have a like I have a I'm very familiar with that type of feeling of not feeling like you know your kids are like, oh, thank you. Like, with my daughter who's nonverbal, it is such a thankless job, like so thankless, like on a verbal level, but having not having that, you really get to appreciate that, the joy and every other aspect of that. And that's so much more important than words, so much
mm,
more important you know, than how we want them to make us feel. Like you just have to sort of like wrap your head around. We have to wrap our head around that, and it's not easy, but for me, it's something I just keep enjoying more and more. And I know it sounds really cheesy to say that, but you know, uh, being a parent is definitely not easy, and but we're still doing it, and we get to look back at the years and just like, wow, we've come so far, and if we ever feel like we're not doing a great job, just think of how we were last year and the year before
mm,
that.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
easy to see the improvement, they don't have to thank us. Like,
Absolutely.
you know,
And like we are responsible for grounding ourselves, watering ourselves, we're responsible for really maintaining ourselves. And,
yeah,
it's very challenging. We can easily get out of balance, especially with family units bringing in their own energies and, trying to transmute a whole lot of stuff together. It's a fun
yeah,
time. But I was just thinking, with our collectives and stuff, basically they're our guides, they're our guardians, they are sort of like our parents in some regards, and thank goodness they're not as reactive as us because like, like I mean, most people aren't even grateful for what they do. I mean, most people don't even know about Gaia. Most people don't even know that their guides are just like, oh my God, if they could just fucking love themselves for a second, um, we're making their job so much more harder. And they just completely love us. They're so balanced. They have no reactions, thank goodness. Because I think if they had
hmm
emotions and reactions like we would, I think we'd be in trouble.
yes, jeez. Y- it
Mm,
just hit me. It's not necessarily right on topic, but it's not often that, like we're doing this video and we assume there will be people watching the video, whether they know who you are already or they stumble across the channel. But I just want to give a shout out to everyone who watches this video. Like they don't like hope they realize you guys realize that we are all here for a reason. We are all here to learn something and grow. And if we weren't, we wouldn't be here. So I never really get a chance to thank the people, you know what I mean? To thank the people who are on the same journey as I am. And I appreciate that so much. And all we get to see sometimes is a view count. And I wonder who those people are, those 3 or 4 or 500 people are. But, you know, they're all special. They're all on a journey of discovery. And that in itself is so commendable. So I know it's cheesy to say that, but I really do appreciate that so much.
mm. Oh
So,
yeah.
because I
Like
was, yeah,
the absolutely every single one of them is super, super important, like
yeah,
beyond important. And they don't see that, and so it's kind of like it's sad because they're here, they are advanced. You can't handle this kind of information if you're mucking around, and like this is advanced content, and this alone should give them confidence that they are significant and they're so cared for and they're so loved, and they're like getting fan mail all the time from the Victorians, all the collectives, constantly. I
yeah,
mean, they're like yelling crying that they love you, love you, they love you. And it's like that word is so overused. It's almost like a bastard word now where we just like dismiss it and block it and shut it down because, ugh, that thing, love hurt me before, love's confused me before, oh, love's got me into trouble. I'm a victim to love, like, there is
Yes.
this frequency that they just want to like just embody us with and merge us with. And I've been asking, how else can you help us? Because, some people don't
Mhm.
trust that they're there. And, we still need to see them with our eyeballs and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's a journey. It's absolutely a journey. And,
Mhm.
when we trying to support people to understand how we had, well, how I got the trust and faith that they were
Mhm.
there was, through channeling, because I knew my conscious mind was not speaking any of that at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. And I knew my clients, spending a day with them and then them channeling advanced information. It's like, they're
Mhm.
not faking this. If they knew this shit, they would be fantastic. If they just suddenly
Yes.
like, they just like, oh, just say something that sounds and clever. Like it's profound, and we just need to apply the information. We're
Absolutely.
hearing this information because this is obviously not our first time being on planets at this predicament, at this heated moment, and we're all able to hold higher frequency. This is why they've given us all these gifts, like the 15-minute meditation is so profound still, and that really strengthens us, energetically, really, is a powerhouse. But we can take it or leave it, whatever. um but the physical book, when they were telling me or reminding me how to ask them, how could they physically help us more improve that they existed. And because I was trying to figure out what is stopping people from having their faith and trust, because we're still, I want to see your spaceship land on my lawn, blah 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 blah. Like,
Mm.
how do we get people to feel them? And so, this is when they sort of just drop this like emotional, like, gratitude that, well, they've organized these trees, these special
Mhm.
trees, and it's all infused in, and it's the flesh of the trees. It's like the flesh of Gaia. And it's just all this beautiful, physical, tangible energy you can feel. And they're saying, go and sit with it and be with it and feel this energy. And I know people are having profound energy experiences visually with this book.
I
So
I feel energy from it already, like, and I've read the books. I've read them both. Like, I feel something has changed, in my house at least, and it, whether it's a placebo or not, it doesn't really matter because I'm aware that I'm aware of it, and um, uh, just I don't know. Like I said, it's just something that I wanted to get as soon as it was available, and um, I don't know where I'm going with this point, but um, yeah, I think my brain's starting to get tired.
yeah, I just want to say one thing. We're trying to figure out ways that we can donate these books, because this information is profound. And I know when you listen to sessions with I'm That Girl, I'm telling everyone 1,000 times, interns are free. Go find an intern, channel for yourself, celebrate the
Yeah.
gift of Dolores Cannon having internships for people that are training in this work and in these sessions for QHHT. And treat yourself to this miracle. Don't be shy, face all your fears, explore as many interns as possible. Get around, do them all. I'm not going to
Mhm.
judge. Actually, I'm going to love that. Be a intern whore, if that's if that's the label that gives you joy. That makes me feel funny. Anyway, but
Excuse me.
I realized that not everyone is able to find an intern or get access to an intern. And so I was just sort of been reminded about different reasons why people can't get information like this. And there are heaps of libraries, community libraries. And there's also like this system. I know Dolores Cannon used to give and send her books for free to prison libraries. And I don't know whether
Hmm.
you have to do it through like Amazon directly and send it. I'm going to call my local women's prison and ask them, how can I donate books? Because they're there. They
Hmm.
are open to new information. They've got time to be able to explore and expand. And, they've got the information is going to be found one way or another. But we've got to start thinking how we can be of service to support people. Anyway,
For
that's what I
sure.
wanted to say.
And I just want to say one more thing about your last video again. I know I've mentioned it before, but as far as like just getting that initial feeling of, of sitting in quietness and closing your eyes and allowing yourself to feel whatever may come in. Like a lot of people are just so scared to do that. They're like, "Oh, well, this is silly." But I guarantee you, like someone out there will try that and and they will feel something, like they will feel something. We just have to open ourselves up to that option, to the idea that, if you allow it, if you allow yourself to feel something, it will happen. And it's, like it requires a bit of vulnerability and a bit of belief and faith, but like I said, that's once 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 you do that, it gets easier. It really does.
Mm.
So,
It's kind of like creepy to think about it, but they are kind of like the elephant in the room. And by you
yeah.
going in and allowing them to speak through you, then you're giving them a voice. But I do know some people are afraid. Oh, what if they tell me I've got to do more work? Or what if they tell me I'm a piece of shit? Or whatever. Like face those, explore that. What are you trying to say to
Yeah.
yourself? What are you afraid of? Facing your fears is fantastic because they're usually just bullshit fears anyway, that are just our monkey minds trying to not help us grow, for various
Hmm.
reasons because they don't want change or whatever. So,
Okay.
you're in the comfort of your own home, be brave, trust that you are loved beyond, beyond, beyond what most people will even accept, and deal with it. Accept being
Hmm.
loved and live life as if you are loved because it's not possible to be unloved by our collectives, that's for sure.
For sure.
Tough love. I feel like I'm like grumpies. Everyone, love yourself.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this. I am going to go and sit by myself and sort of have a little communion because
Mhm.
because
Self,
we
go.
don't always have people who will love us, who are readily available, and we are loved. It doesn't even matter if it's from a person or not. You will feel that, and I will. Yeah, everyone can feel that, and
Yeah.
it's amazing when you do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we honor our journey here. We honor loving everyone here and respecting
Yeah.
everyone here because this is not easy for ourselves, is it? We all know it's quite the challenge. And while
Yeah.
we could all complain about how effing challenging it can be, we're here. Let's make the most out of it while not dismissing the bigger stuff that is does need our focus to overcome and to heal from. But
Hmm.
once we have those tool sets, then we can identify and support others easily. It doesn't drain us, and we can be in more balance. I promise.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is going to sound really weird, but be by yourself and love yourself. So, self love is the best love, they say.
I will. Thank you very much. You too.
Okay, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.